Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, this episode gave me a few chuckles. The Yamcha scenes, classic as fuck, funny as hell, and just overall seeing a different atmosphere for the Dragon Ball characters. Whenever you get these slice of life episodes, some people obviously they don't want to see that, they just want the incredible action, and I love the action, but these moments right here, like the birth of Bra, it's something a little bit different. And sometimes these episodes, like, of course they can suck, but they can also be enjoyable and decent. And like, for example, again, I've wanted to see something like this for a while, just see like, okay, well, these characters that they pop up at the end of the manga, I wish we could have seen like little instances like, hey, their birth, and just little instances like this. And this episode provided just that. We got to see the birth of Bra, and the unusual birth of Bra for that, because like what happened in this episode, the way things were with Whis and what he did, I was like, yeah, I'm sure this wasn't thought of 20 years ago when the character was created, but sure, why not? Because pretty much Whis using his power, I'm kind of curious exactly what did he do? Did he speed up the development of the baby inside of something? Because she was due like any moment, I guess. They were getting the bed ready and everything like that. So I'm imagining that maybe in a few days or a few hours or something, Bulma was going to give birth. So he pretty much, I'm assuming, sped up the development of the baby inside of Bulma, and then bam, kind of just pulled out the baby and had the baby just out of nowhere. It was weird, I'm not gonna lie, because all of a sudden Bulma just went from having this giant baby bump to she looked normal. It's like, I'm imagining many pregnant women would love that. Instead of having to deal with the pain of childbirth and having, just all of this explosion everywhere, like, oh, you're gonna just use some weird powers and have the baby out of me? Hells yeah. So Whis, you should definitely work at a hospital. I could recommend a couple. Like, yo, there's a couple good hospitals you'll be great in. On top of that, some of the little, I guess not necessarily emotional moments, but it was interesting enough to see Vegeta kind of dealing with the situation, because this is the hardened guy. We've seen him kill people in the past, we've seen him be a just straight up dick, and it was still keeping in his character of kind of being an asshole, but it was also showcasing his growth. It was like he was embarrassed to just run up and grab his daughter, so he was just standing there pissed off, like, I want to hold my daughter, but I don't want to seem, I guess, weak in a way. Like, Vegeta has his pride intact, so I really like how they deal with his character. It's a stark contrast from what we heard, how he treated Trunks. He never once held Trunks up until, the Majin Buu arc, and Trunks was like 8 at that point. So it's definitely a showing of development within Vegeta's character, to no longer just be like, I don't give a fuck. If this was the old Vegeta, if this was the Vegeta from like even before the Cell Saga, like, or even up till the Cell Saga, Vegeta wouldn't have given a shit. He wouldn't even have been there. He would have been like, yeah, Tournament of Power, hells yeah, let's go, fuck all this shit. So the fact that he was doing what he did, even if he was just standing there, ultimately showcased like, he's changed, he's grown up. And I noticed, throughout Dragon Ball Super, a lot of the fandom, they find that hard to accept how different Vegeta's been. I mean, in the Battle of Gods arc, he was dancing and, just doing all sorts of silly shit, but that's because he's grown and he'll do anything to protect his family, and he loves his family, and this episode showed just that. Like, even when Goku was continuing on, like, bro, we need you for the Tournament of Power, Vegeta's like, bro, you'll have more fights. Why do you need me so badly in there? Now, obviously, he doesn't know the stakes of what's, at hand here. Like, hey, everybody's gonna fucking die. But nevertheless, yo, Vegeta, yo, a chance to square off against Kakarot, big tournament, I'm there. So really good on the development with that. I liked how they played up the little Yamcha thing, because there's always gonna be that little, I want to say tension, a little bit of that. I think, well, on Yamcha's side, it would be more so bitter. But nevertheless, Vegeta, when Yamcha showed up, he was giving him the eye. Like, if I was Vegeta, I'm not gonna lie, I would have said, bro, you got 3 seconds to get the fuck up out of here. Like, yo, don't be holding my daughter. It's a good thing Yamcha was with the characters from the beginning of the story, because I think Vegeta would have ruled with an iron fist and had that motherfucker dragged out of there. Like, you ain't holding my daughter. You out of your mind, bro. Like, that scene was just priceless. And then even the fact that they were talking about or shall I say Yamcha brought up wanting to be a part of the Tournament of Power. I like, again, that Toei, they're very self-aware. They know that people just rag on Yamcha. I'm sure they read forums, and they're very aware that Yamcha's a laughingstock. So when he brought up the Tournament of Power, and he's like, oh man, yeah, I wouldn't mind being a part of it, and he's fantasizing about like Goku and them saying, oh, thanks for joining or whatever. It's funny, but then it's also sad at the same time of how shit his character seems to be, because they're talking about people entering the contest, which I do want to mention real quickly. We'll talk about it in a second, Goten and Trunks, but nevertheless, they're like, yo, Roshi, great idea, but they don't even think about Yamcha. And at the end of the day, Yamcha, he's a capable fighter. He's been in some fucking squabbles. I mean, look at DBZ. Even though he's gotten his ass kicked and he's been killed, he does have experience. Nevertheless, he is somewhat strong. You know, he's stronger than many, like on Earth, he's one of the strongest fighters. Obviously, Krillin's the strongest, but he's neck and neck right there, probably a little bit weaker than Krillin or whatever. So Yamcha has the strength, so why not include him? Like, honestly, Yamcha is, even though fan service wise, and what we would love to see, going back to the Jackie Chun days, like just seeing Roshi body motherfuckers with the shades and shit, like when he pulls down the shades, like we would love to see that. But in actuality, Yamcha is a better pick as far as strength wise and having experience and stuff like that than Roshi. Not that he has more experience than Roshi, because Roshi's been through some shit too, but Yamcha would be a better pick. So it's weird that, yeah, Roshi okay, Yamcha no. And also, real quickly before we talk about Goten and Trunks, I want to talk about, they were a bit lazy with certain parts of the episode. They reused shots from the opening multiple times. When Vegeta was standing there, they stretched the shit out of that, like seeing that scene multiple times. So on the art and animation, they did reuse quite a few different things, and I was like, really? Like, okay, you want to be a little lazy here, I guess, but yeah. Now, let's talk about Goten and Trunks' inclusion. They talk about Goten and Trunks, and Goku's like, nah, this is going to require more than power, but Roshi, oh, okay, Roshi's fine. Which I don't want to keep harping on Roshi, because I am really happy that Roshi's going to be a part of this, and I'm really excited for Roshi, so don't mistake it as if I'm hating on Roshi. I love that character, come on now, that's Master fucking Roshi. But in regards to Goten and Trunks, let's just say, you know, in comparison, Roshi 100% more strategy, can do more as far as like to think than Goten and Trunks. I mean, Trunks is a little bit more adept than Goten in that regard. Like, Trunks can come up with strategy, but nevertheless, Roshi is leaps and bounds ahead of them when it comes to that, and of course, experience. But sometimes that's just not enough. And at the end of the day, both of these kids are Super Saiyans. Both of these kids have trained quite a bit. They went up against Majin Buu, so there is some experience within both of them, right? And ultimately, Roshi is very, very outclassed. So even if he has the strategy, even if he'll know how to do different things, ultimately, there's only so much you can do with that strength. I mean, Roshi is like a tenth, if that, of Raditz's power level. And again, it's not all about power, but if you're going to compare, like, okay, when Majin Buu came, who are you going to throw at Majin Buu? Roshi or Goten or Trunks? You know what I'm saying? So in that regard, I think it's a silly, more so leaning on fan service type of deal to include Roshi over Goten and Trunks. I love Roshi, and I'm really excited about his inclusion nevertheless, but I do think it's a bit of a silly decision to go with Roshi that is just, he's weak. You know, in comparison to what we're facing the strongest of strong out there. Roshi is just like not the best pick in my opinion. And also, coming up with the name Pan, Bulma having it, I think it was a little selfish on her part. That's just maybe my opinion, that you already picked Trunks. I'm sure that was your name or whatever. Vegeta had nothing to do with that. But on top of that, now you gotta name the daughter too, bro. Like, maybe he wanted a Saiyan name. Maybe he wanted to call her Vegetato or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, give the man a break. You know what I mean? And with all that being said, honestly, it was a decent episode of Dragon Ball Super, especially for these filler or whatever episodes. I felt it was decent enough. It was, you know, carrying on, finally us seeing Bra being born after waiting hundreds of years, it felt like, because we've been like, when is Bulma gonna have this baby? Like, when is this, you know, she is at the end of the manga. For those that don't know, by the way, because I know a lot of people actually aren't aware, or they feel as though, wait, so this is like, no, she's at the end of the manga. It's not just a GT deal, because some people just think that she's filler, just like they think Oob is filler. No, she's at the end of the series as well. She's in DBZ, so just wanted to throw that in there for you guys, in case you, wasn't aware. She's canon, alright? And, you know, just seeing Vegeta deal with this and stuff like that, it was a good episode, I want to say. For what it was worth, I want to say it was about like a 6.5 to a 7. The comedy was pretty cool to it. I'm not gonna lie, kept the episode lively. I think some of the scenes that I was like, oh, it's like when Bulma's doing like whatever the fuck little exercises on the bouncy ball. I'm like, yeah, I don't think 10-year-olds in Japan are really gonna want to see that, but all right. So yeah, it was a decent, fine to a good episode, 6.5 to a 7, I want to say. Kind of curious what you guys think. First of all, what do you think about Bra's birth with Whis using his staff to fast forward time in order for her to be born? Like, yeah, I don't think that was the original idea, but hey, maybe that'll give her some special powers. Oh god, there goes the discussions, like Bra potentially having Whis angel powers. And what do you think about Vegeta's character? Because, you know, his character has been a topic of controversy in Dragon Ball since the, you know, beginning of Super, of how much he's changed, or even going back to when Battle of Gods first launched in theaters, how much he's changed and how different he is. And oh, that's not Vegeta, that's Vegeta, but he's grown up. And that's what a man does. When you get to a point when you're having kids and you love your family, you want to take care of them, that's what a man does. He does things sometimes that he maybe it shoots on his own pride, which Vegeta, one of the most prideful characters in existence, but he loves his family, and that's why he's changed, and I can do nothing but respect that. And your overall thoughts of the episode, did you get a chuckle or two? Personally, I thought it was a decent episode, and even if you know, only want to see the big action episodes, which there was a little bit of action, the little mind simulation of Goku and Vegeta looking at Krillin fighting Bazil, what they think would happen or whatever. So if you wanted action, there's that, but it's worth it nevertheless just to see the birth of a canon character in the Dragon Ball story, Bra. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm FNeverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.